There is a moment, soft, silent, almost invisible, when your body slackens, your breath deepens, and your mind begins to untether from the weight of the world. The lights are off, the sounds fade, and suddenly, without ceremony, you are gone. And yet, not gone. Each night, you vanish from waking life, slipping through an unseen door into realms most never remember, let alone understand. Where do you go when you sleep? What part of you continues to travel, to feel, to witness, even when your physical self lies dormant in darkness? Stay with me until the end of this video, because the journey you're about to embark on does more than explain the mechanics of sleep. It opens a portal to ancient truths, truths long whispered in mystery schools, etched in sacred texts, and encoded in the patterns of stars. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. You won't want to miss what lies beyond the veil. Modern science has tried to fence this mystery with brainwaves, RM cycles, and neurotransmitters. But such definitions are like explaining a symphony through the shape of the instruments alone. Yes, the mind rests, but something else stirs. A deeper current beneath the mind begins to move as the surface thoughts still. That something, your awareness, your presence, your you-ness, is not extinguished in sleep. It is unanchored. You are not merely a creature of neurons and synapses. You are a bridge between two dimensions, the tangible world of matter and the subtle ocean of mind, myth, and memory. And when sleep pulls you inward, it's not erasing you, it's returning you. For those with eyes to see, sleep is not the absence of wakefulness. It is the doorway into the other half of your existence. Like the tide retreating from the shore, consciousness flows out of the waking mind and seeps into an ancient realm where time loosens, identity reshapes, and the soul roams freely. In dreams, we speak forgotten languages. We see places we've never visited, feel the presence of people long gone, and sometimes even touch a truth that vanishes by dawn like mist. This hidden realm has always existed. The ancients knew it intimately. The Egyptians spoke of the Ba, the aspect of the soul that travels in sleep. In Vedic philosophy, it is Swapna, the dream state, where the mind connects to the astral body. Even the Bible alludes to divine messages received in sleep, as though that twilight domain is the preferred tongue of the higher realms. This isn't poetic fluff. These are cultural echoes of a deeper reality we've forgotten how to see. The world of sleep is not simply rest. It is rehearsal, exploration, return. It is the soul brushing up against its source, if only briefly. If you've ever woken from a dream feeling like it was more real than life, if you've ever felt the sting of wisdom or warning whispered in that liminal state, you've already touched this hidden knowledge. The trick is remembering. But what happens during that vanishing act, between the last conscious thought and the next morning's alarm? Where does the flame of your awareness flicker off to? If the brain is resting, yet you still experience, then what exactly is doing the experiencing? Here is where the trail begins to glow. The truth is both startling and comforting. Your consciousness is never asleep. It shifts. Like a ship cutting through layers of fog, it glides from the conscious waking state into subtler dimensions. Some call these dimensions the astral planes. Others speak of dreamscapes, alternate realities, or collective unconscious fields. But all agree on one core idea. Your awareness goes somewhere. And that somewhere may hold the clues not only to understanding sleep, but to unlocking the very nature of reality itself. It is no accident that many breakthroughs, spiritual revelations, and even inventions were first glimpsed in dreams. The dream state acts like a decoder ring, translating truths too subtle for the conscious mind to grasp. In that suspended dimension, the ego loosens its grip, and the higher self, the aspect of you that remembers the cosmos, has room to whisper. You may not always hear it clearly, but the echo is always there. Yet, because we've been trained to see sleep as nothing more than downtime, we dismiss these nightly voyages as random noise. We've forgotten how to listen, how to map our own soul's path through the dreaming sea. But here's the secret. What you call sleep is actually the most honest reflection of who you really are. In waking life, we perform, we wear masks, but in dreams and beyond them, we return to the raw, unfiltered essence of our being. And that essence is not bound by time or space. It is fluid, radiant, and deeply connected to a greater whole. When your body lies still each night, your consciousness is not extinguished. It becomes free. It slips between dimensions like wind through a curtain, gathering impressions, memories, and sometimes even messages from forces beyond comprehension. You are not unconscious, you are elsewhere. To know where your consciousness goes during sleep is to peer through a sacred keyhole into the machinery of reality. To remember that journey is to reclaim a forgotten language, the dialect of the soul. And once you understand the path, you can begin to walk it with intention. That's where the magic begins. So ask yourself, what if sleep isn't an escape from life, but an invitation into its deeper truth? To truly understand where your consciousness goes during sleep, we must abandon the narrow alleyways of material explanation and step into a wider cathedral of thought. One that acknowledges not only the biological, but the mystical infrastructure of reality. Sleep is not a void, nor is it merely biological necessity. It is a multi-dimensional migration. A sacred procession that repeats every night, yet rarely with our full awareness. What moves through you when your body slumbers is not random brain static. It is a conscious essence, an inner traveler made of the same material as thought, dream, and starlight, departing its physical home to explore a less dense plane of existence. This essence, often called the soul, spirit, or subtle body, is not bound by the limitations of the waking mind. It is lighter, faster, more fluid, and it knows exactly how to navigate the astral currents that open once your physical senses fade. Many traditions refer to this nighttime state as astral projection, lucid dreaming, or soul travel. And while the labels vary, the core idea remains the same: a migration of awareness from the physical to the non-physical. And this migration is not rare, it is the norm. The only difference between the mystic and the unaware sleeper is remembrance. When we enter sleep, our consciousness doesn't shut off, it recalibrates. It shifts its focal lens. Like a camera that changes its aperture, it begins to receive input not from the five senses, but from internal, subtle ones: the eyes of the soul, the ears of intuition, the tongue of archetype. This is why dreams speak in symbols. The dream world doesn't use literal language. It uses the syntax of the soul: metaphor, emotion, pattern, and vibration. One of the deepest truths hidden beneath this nocturnal migration is the layered nature of consciousness itself. Your mind is not a monolith. It is a kingdom of levels. The waking mind is only the surface, like the visible tip of an iceberg. Below that tip lies the subconscious, the unconscious, and what some have called the superconscious, the infinite reservoir that connects you to all that exists. Each night, when you sleep, you pass through these levels, like descending into inner catacombs or climbing through the floors of a vast temple. At the first threshold, your thoughts slow. At the second, identity blurs. At the third, the body becomes irrelevant. By the time you reach the deeper chambers, you are no longer a you in the traditional sense, but something more fluid, connected, omnipresent. You become a node in a vast web of energetic intelligence. This is the terrain mystics have walked for millennia. They simply walked it consciously. In the dream state, the veil of ego lifts, and what remains is your true operating system, the one not bound by linear thought. Here, past and future collapse into symbolic now. Emotions take shape. Desires become landscapes. Fears manifest as characters. The entire theater of your inner life plays out in 3 dimensions. This is why dreams matter, not because they predict lottery numbers or offer literal answers, but because they unveil the architecture of your soul. Each dream is a fingerprint of your current energetic state. It's not a fantasy, it's a mirror. And that mirror reflects where your consciousness is journeying, what it's absorbing, and what it's trying to teach you. Now consider this. If your consciousness can travel while your body is still, then the body is not the source of consciousness. It is the receiver. Like a radio, your body tunes into the frequency of waking life. But when you sleep, that tuning dial shifts. You begin to receive signals from higher frequencies. The source never stops broadcasting. You just stop listening consciously. The astral plane, for instance, is one such frequency. It is a dimension of thought form, energy, and intention. Here, distance is not measured in miles, but in vibrational match. You travel not by walking, but by focus. You meet not through accident, but through resonance. Your consciousness moves through this plane like a beam of light, attracting, absorbing, and sometimes confronting what lingers in the deeper corners of your psyche. Some say this is where souls gather, where ancestors whisper, where higher guides speak in symbols. Others claim it's a place of initiation, where parts of your consciousness are tested, strengthened, or even healed. Regardless of interpretation, one thing is clear. The terrain of sleep is not empty, it is alive. And woven into all of this is one haunting idea, that life itself may be a kind of waking dream, and that what we experience at night is, in fact, the real world, the eternal one. Plato hinted at this when he wrote of the world of forms. The ancient Gnostics believed the material world was a veil, a trap, a dream state that the soul must awaken from. The Tibetans called it the bardo, and trained their monks to maintain awareness through sleep and even death, because they saw both as transitions through illusion into truth. These philosophies are not just poetic, they are maps, and they all converge on one simple, transformative notion: that your consciousness is not in the body. The body is in your consciousness, and each night, as you sleep, you are being gently reminded of this truth. But only if you remember. Imagine now a great river flowing in silence beneath the floorboards of your everyday thoughts. You do not see it during your waking hours, though you feel its current tug subtly at your decisions, your dreams, your intuition. This river is ancient, older than language, older than form. And when night arrives and your conscious defenses dissolve, your soul steps once more into its waters and begins its sacred descent. To understand where your consciousness goes during sleep, one must abandon the map and enter the myth. For symbols, not science, are the true compass here. The sleeping mind does not think, it remembers. And what it remembers are not events, but archetypes. The hero, the gate, the beast, the wound, the tower. These images are not fantasies. They are eternal patterns, universal structures coded into the architecture of existence itself. And in sleep, your consciousness walks their paths again and again, trying to bring their truths back to your waking mind, like gifts smuggled across a border. One such story, repeated in endless forms across cultures, is the allegory of the inner garden. You dream of a garden, but it is not made of petals and leaves. It is made of your memories, your desires, your shadows. In this garden, a gate always waits. Sometimes it is rusted shut. Sometimes it swings open. Sometimes it crumbles entirely as you touch it. What lies beyond that gate is never random. It is a mirror, a living representation of something you are not ready to face, or something you are finally ready to become. In the dream, you may meet a stranger with your face, a talking animal, a burning tree that hums your name. These are not nonsense. These are fragments of you, wearing costumes to teach you lessons your waking self refuses to hear. The garden is your soul's landscape. And the gate? That is the doorway between dimensions, between the limited self and the infinite one. Another recurring symbol within the sleeping world is the endless staircase. Those who have traveled deep enough within their own dreams will know this well. It begins without warning, perhaps in a normal setting, a house, a hallway, a familiar room. But then you find the staircase, and as you ascend or descend, it grows stranger, bending in impossible geometries, spiraling through colorless skies or pulsing with shifting light. Each step you take is a descent deeper into the unconscious. Each landing is a new layer of awareness. But what is truly strange is this: the staircase is never climbed alone. There is always a presence. Sometimes it watches. Sometimes it walks with you. Sometimes it is you. Jung called it the self, capital S, the eternal archetype that contains both the divine and the monstrous, the blueprint of who you were before you were born. Others might call it a spirit guide, a guardian, or even a past or future version of yourself. But whatever name it wears, its purpose is the same: to usher your sleeping soul into deeper waters, deeper truths, and deeper responsibilities. These symbolic narratives are not inventions of the brain. They are the language of the sleeping consciousness as it interfaces with the unseen world. The dream does not lie, it translates. What is repressed in the daylight is released at night, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. The soul needs to remember its true nature, and dreams are the school in which it relearns. Another potent dream symbol often encountered is the collapsing house. One moment you are inside a building, familiar, stable, known. The next, it begins to fall. The walls cave, the ceiling cracks, water floods the floor. Panic rises. You try to escape, and then, just before the collapse consumes you, you wake up. This is not merely a nightmare. It is a sacred deconstruction. The house is your identity, your current understanding of self. Its collapse is the soul's way of clearing space for something new. You do not die in the dream. You shed. You are reborn. The collapsing house, the infinite staircase, the speaking mirror, the dark forest filled with eyes. These are not just personal symbols. They are transpersonal. shared by dreamers across time and geography. And why? Because sleep unites us. In waking life, we are separated by borders, names, ages, beliefs. But when we sleep, we all speak the same mythic language. We all drink from the same invisible stream. It is as if there exists a library beyond the veil, and each of us accesses it at night without remembering. A collective dream written in eternal ink. Now consider the deeper implication. What if the places you visit during sleep are not dreams at all, but returnings? What if the people you meet, the landscapes you wander, the messages you receive, are glimpses of a more fundamental world, the original world, of which waking life is just a copy? The idea seems impossible until you recall how real some dreams feel, how emotionally true, how cosmically weighted. It is because they are real, just not in the physical sense. They are real in the way music is real, in the way love is real, in the way a memory from another lifetime can suddenly flood your being and change you forever. Sleep is not forgetting. It is remembering what you forgot when you were born. And so, night after night, the soul steps quietly through the veil. It listens. It learns. It walks familiar paths under unfamiliar skies. And each morning, it brings back only fragments. A feeling, a color, a strange word echoing with no mouth to speak it. But if you follow those threads, if you learn to decode the symbols, you will begin to understand that your consciousness never sleeps. It sails, and every voyage it takes brings you one step closer to remembering who and what you truly are. If it is true, if each night your consciousness sets sail into deeper dimensions, guided by symbols, met with mirrors and immersed in realms not bound by time, then how does that change how you live your waking life? It begins here, understanding that your dream life and waking life are not separate realms, but reflections of the same continuum. You do not leave one to enter the other. You pass through them like shifting moods of the same eternal consciousness. And the more you learn to recognize this continuum, the more your waking world becomes infused with that deeper awareness. Life ceases to be mechanical. It becomes mythic. Consider this. If dreams are the symbolic theater of your deeper self, then waking life is the stage on which those symbols seek expression. The strange character who chased you in your dream may become the anxious voice that nags you in traffic. The collapsing house you fled from last night may mirror the breakdown of an outdated identity or belief you're still clinging to. When seen this way, your dreams are not random. They are blueprints. Your waking experiences, then, become enactments of those inner templates. And this is where practical magic begins, not with spells or incense, but with attention. Attention is the currency of the spiritual world. Where you place it determines what grows. Most of us race through our days half asleep, numbed by routine, anesthetized by distraction. But when you begin to treat waking life like a living dream, when you pause to ask, "What is this moment trying to tell me?" you reconnect the severed thread between night and day. Start with remembrance. When you wake each morning, take a breath before rushing into the noise. Ask gently, "Where did I go?" Even if only an image lingers, a mountain, a name, a color, it is enough. Write it. Speak it aloud. Anchor it. That simple act creates a bridge between the unconscious and the conscious mind. You are training your awareness to become bilocational, to live with one foot in matter, one foot in myth. From there, begin listening for symbols during the day. the animal that crosses your path twice in 1 week, the lyric in a song that echoes a dream phrase, the stranger's words that feel eerily familiar. These are not coincidences. They are echoes, resonances of your sleeping consciousness now rippling outward into the fabric of waking time. The line between dream sign and synchronicity is thinner than we've been taught. And what of fear? What of the nightmares, the confusions, the darker journeys of the night? Here lies the heart of integration. These shadow dreams are not enemies. They are guardians. They appear terrifying because they guard truths we are not yet ready to receive. But when you turn toward them, not with force but with curiosity, they soften. The beast becomes a wounded child. The monster reveals the unhealed memory it represents. Even terror is a teacher, wearing black robes to demand your attention. In waking life, this means no longer fleeing from discomfort. You begin to see challenges, patterns, even setbacks as invitations to remember. That recurring conflict at work may mirror the same archetypal pattern as the endless staircase you keep climbing in your dreams. That sensation of déjà vu may not be an illusion. It may be your subtle body recognizing an energetic imprint from your nightly journey. The spiritual path is not about escape, it is about alignment. And dream work is one of its most ancient, most precise tools. Now let us move deeper still. There is a quiet revolution that begins when you realize you are not just a passenger in your own mind, but a navigator. A soul steering an ancient vessel through the oceanic layers of existence. Each night, when the body rests and the world grows still, that revolution unfolds silently. Your consciousness unhooks from its temporary name, its daily burdens, and its sensory boundaries. And it begins to remember gently, gracefully, sometimes painfully, that it is far vaster than what waking life has led you to believe. We began with a question so deceptively simple, it almost dissolves under scrutiny. Where does your consciousness go during sleep? And now, after diving beneath the surface of science, myth, symbol, and spirit, the answer is no longer linear. It is not a place. It is a pathway. Not a destination, but a process of return. Your consciousness does not go away during sleep. It goes inward, spiraling through subtle realities, recalibrating your soul, whispering truths too large for daylight. It swims upstream, against the flow of forgetting, toward a source that never sleeps. In this sacred migration, the body is not abandoned. It becomes the still cradle, the womb of transformation. But what moves, what travels, is the essential part of you. The part untouched by time, immune to decay, and hungry for remembrance. That part of you enters the astral, the symbolic, the luminous. It drinks from wells you forgot existed. It meets you where your masks are down and your soul is raw. And when it returns, if you are still enough, if you are listening, it brings back keys. Not keys of logic or formula, but keys of vibration, of resonance, of recognition. These keys do not fit external locks. They open doors within. They ask questions like, what am I doing with this life? Whose story am I still living? What do my dreams know that I keep forgetting when I wake? You begin to realize that awakening is not a single moment, but a rhythm. A breathing between states, a conversation between realms. And when you honor both, when you integrate what the sleeping self reveals into the life the waking self builds, you stand at the threshold of a new existence, one no longer shaped by survival, but by soul alignment. The invitation now is not simply to analyze dreams or to master lucid sleep, though these are sacred tools. The invitation is deeper. It is to live as if both realms were equally real, to act in the day with the knowing of night, to let your intuition be informed by the same force that builds dream worlds from emotion, archetype, and longing. To trust that when something appears in your life, a repeated symbol, a strange synchronicity, a challenge, it is no accident. It is your sleeping self reaching through the veil with a message. You are not meant to sleepwalk through your own incarnation. You are meant to remember. Remember that this life is not separate from the dream. It is the dream projected onto the canvas of matter. Remember that every interaction is symbolic, that every fear masks a lesson, that every silence holds an answer. Remember that your ancestors once trained their children to dream, not just to sleep. That in many traditions, dreamers were considered oracles, visionaries, healers, not escapists, but navigators. And remember most of all that you are not waiting to be awakened by some external power. You are awakening yourself, night by night, dream by dream, breath by breath. The journey is already happening. You need only participate. So tonight, when your eyes grow heavy and the world grows dim, do not say you are going to sleep. Say instead, I am going to remember. I am going to cross into the realm where time breaks and soul speaks. I am going to retrieve the blueprint that my waking self has misplaced. I am going to meet myself on the other side of thought. I am going to dream consciously. And when you wake, do not let the dream slip away. Invite it into your breakfast, your walk, your work. Let the symbols echo. Let the staircase rise again. Let the gate reappear. Because in the end, the question is not, where does your consciousness go during sleep? The real question is, are you ready to follow it there? The veil is thin. The gate is opening. You are already dreaming. Now wake up inside it.